term team to refer to groups and teams. Teamwork involves working together to achieve something beyond the capabilities of individuals working alone. Teams are often asked to solve problems and make decisions. Team dynamics refers to the patterns of interactions that emerge as groups develop. These interactions are also called group processes. Components of team dynamics include objectives, team size, team norms, group cohesiveness, status within the team, and group rules. The ability to understand and solve problems is an important skill. A problem exists whenever there's a difference between what is actually happening and what we want to be happening. If your objective is to produce 500 units a day, but only 475 are produced, you have a problem. Individuals typically try to reduce the disparity between the actual performance and the objective. Thus, problem solving is the process of taking corrective action in order to meet objectives. Decision making is the process of selecting an alternative course of action that will help solve the problem. Decisions must be made when you are faced with a problem or opportunity. When making decisions, remember that the goal of human relations is to create win-win situations for everyone. There are various decision-making styles, including reflexive, consistent, and reflective. A reflexive decision maker likes to make quick decisions, without taking the time to get all the information that might be needed and without considering all the alternatives. On the positive side, reflexive decision makers are decisive. On the negative side, making quick decisions can lead to waste and duplication when a decision is not the best possible alternative. If you use a reflexive style, you might want to slow down and spend more time gathering information and analyzing alternatives. Following the steps in the decision-making model that we'll talk about in just a few minutes can help you develop those skills. A reflective decision maker likes to take plenty of time to make decisions, taking into account considerable amounts of information and analyzing several alternatives. On the positive side, the reflective type does not make decisions that are rushed. On the negative side, they may procrastinate and waste valuable time and resources and lose out on opportunities. The reflective decision maker may be viewed as wishy-washy and indecisive. If you use the reflective style, you might want to speed up your decision making. A consistent decision maker makes decisions without rushing or wasting time. Consistent decision makers know when they have enough information and alternatives to make a sound decision. They have the most consistent record of good decisions. Consistent decision makers tend to follow the decision-making steps we'll discuss in this model. We all like to think that we're rational and have great intuitive judgment when making decisions. However, research shows us that people are far from rational and often act against their own best interests, and that intuitive judgment is often flawed and doesn't help us make good decisions. Decision-making can be more rational when following a process, like this decision-making model. Of course, we all have to use some intuitive judgment, but using the model helps us be more rational and focus intuition and judgment along the way. Step 1. Define the problem. If you misdiagnose the problem, you'll never solve it. So slow down and focus only on defining the problem, because when our attention is scattered, we tend to misunderstand or misestimate what we face. In analyzing the problem, first distinguish the symptoms from the cause of the problem. To do so, list the observable and describable occurrences, the symptoms that indicate that a problem exists. Step 2. Set objectives and criteria. After you've defined the problem, you set an objective, the end result of the decision to solve the problem. Identify the criteria the decision must meet to achieve the objective. Now, step 3, generate alternatives. You need to generate possible methods or alternatives for solving the problem through decision making. There are usually many ways to solve a problem. In fact, if you don't have more than 2 alternatives, you don't have to make a decision. When making non-routine decisions, new creative solutions are often needed, so generate alternatives. Now, step 4, analyze alternatives and select one. Here you must evaluate each alternative in terms of the objectives and criteria you've set. Try to avoid distractions that can lead to poor choices. And finally, step 5. Plan, implement the decision, and control. Yep, that's actually 3 separate parts, as the title states. After making the decision, you should develop a plan of action with a schedule for implementation. Lack of planning is a common reason why decisions are not implemented. Decision-making is a waste of time if you don't actually implement the alternative. As with all plans, control should be developed while planning. Checkpoints with feedback should be estimated to determine if the decision is solving the problem. If not, corrective action may be needed. You should not be locked into irrational escalation of commitment to a decision that's not solving a problem. When you make a poor decision, you should admit the mistake and change the decision by going back to the previous steps of our decision-making model.